O'Reilly here. Welcome to the No Spin News, Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. Stand up for your country. So what the deuce happened yesterday? That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points Memo. Got a lot of information for you, so if you have a pen and paper handy, that might be good. Particularly in a Smart Life segment tonight, we're going to give you a very important piece of information. So anyway, let me give you the facts first, then we'll analyze. Got two of the best guys in the country, smartest guys, going to tell us why things evolved the way they did. We'll give you the biggest winner, biggest loser, and a bunch of other asides that I know you will find interesting. So more than 120 million votes were cast in a midterm election. That's a record. But 250 million voters were eligible. So it's not quite 50% that showed up in a time of crisis, particularly economically, but socially as well. Okay? So half the voters in America said, nah, I'm not going. I'm not going to go. Not going to turn out. That's ancient Rome stuff. Okay? That's frightening. Now, I know it's an off-year election, but don't ever, if you didn't vote, say a word about the economy, the border, Putin, anything else. Because you don't care enough to go out and vote whatever your conscience would dictate. That's number one. Number two, the Republicans are going to control the House. Now, we don't know the number because states like Arizona and Nevada cannot count their votes. It's not, will not, they cannot do it. After all of this and all we went through in 20, they still can't count them. It's terrible. But the House is going to be in the hands of Republicans. That leads us to the biggest loser, Nancy Pelosi. She is finished in American politics. She did not issue a statement today. Remember, she said that Democrats would hold the House. She knew that wasn't true, but that's what she felt she had to say. So I'm not a gloater. I'm not a person who was happy that Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked or anything like that. But I feel that woman has damaged this nation in a way that few other politicians ever have. You got to go back to the Civil War days, pre-Civil War, to find speakers of the House as bad as that woman. She would not ever be reasonable. She used blackmail to get the House members to vote her way. You either do what I say or you'll never get a dime to run for re-election. Horrible, horrible. She's gone. Ding dong, the witch is dead, if you want to quote me. That is the big loser. On the Senate side, I think it's going to be 50-50. I predicted 52 Republican, 48 Democrat. But it looks to me like Walker is not going to make it in Georgia, even though there is a runoff. So he's about 16,000 votes behind at the time we're taping this. How's he going to make that up? You know, he doesn't have any more arrows in the quiver. I don't know how he makes it up. Now, they haven't called Arizona. Again, they can't count the votes, but that's going to go to Kelly. He's going to be the senator. And in Nevada, I believe Laxalt will prevail. Again, they can't count the vote there, but I think he's far enough ahead that he'll win. And the Republican won the governorship there in Nevada. Interesting because Nevada and Arizona are the same culture, same desert culture. Yet one state, Arizona, is blown up completely. It is now a blue state. It voted against its own self-interest. I did a big thing on Hannity's radio program today. I can't believe it. Hundreds of thousands of migrants pouring into that state, and they vote for Kelly, who rubber stamps whatever Biden wants, and what Biden is not going to ever do anything on the border, ever. And you vote for this guy? I mean, what's going on? What is going on in Arizona? Democrats shouldn't have gotten any votes. That's how bad that state is in shape because of the Democratic policies. So that's the primer where we stand now. The red wave happened in Florida. Exactly what some people believe would happen nationwide happened in Florida. And the big winner there is DeSantis, the governor, who won by 20 points. But, Marco Rubio won, downline, people won all over the place. So Florida is now a solidly red state. And DeSantis knows that and set himself up with a boomer of a victory speech. Go.
Now, this great exodus of Americans, for those folks, Florida, for so many of them, has served as the promised land. We have embraced freedom. We have maintained law and order. We have protected the rights of parents. We have respected our taxpayers, and we reject woke ideology. We fight the woke in the legislature. We fight the woke in the schools. We fight the woke in the corporations. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die.
You'll see that on bumper stickers. Florida is where woke goes to die. Democrats poured $114 million into the state races, and they got waxed everywhere. So what's the difference between Florida and Arizona? They're both hot. Okay, people go there, retire there. I can't tell you. I don't know. I'm so perplexed by it. As a historian, I have never seen Americans vote against their own self-interest as much as they did this year. Never. And I'll just give you one more vivid example. In New York, Zeldin lost, but he carried 90% of New York counties. 90%. And he lost because African Americans in the Bronx, in Harlem, North Manhattan, in Brooklyn, voted 9-1 for Hochul. I'm sitting there, drug gangs run those neighborhoods. Thousands of people are being murdered there. Old ladies and men can't go to the grocery stores. Everyone knows you can't go out after dark or you can get attacked. Everyone knows Kathy Hochul could not care less. She wants to take all the criminals out of prison and put them back on the streets of Harlem and Bed-Stuy and South Bronx. And that the people who are there being brutalized vote for her. I've never seen anything like it. Zeldin lost because of the black vote in New York City. That's why. And Hochul has not done one thing to improve the circumstance of poor African Americans. And here's another one. Ocasio-Cortez gets 71% of the vote in her district. Her district has been a shambles for 50 years. She's been in Congress for 4 years, done nothing to improve her district at all. Nothing. And won't do anything. Yet the people there in the Bronx, living in the most horrendous conditions in America, go, yeah, we want more. Let's vote for more of that. It's incomprehensible. It really, and I'm not using that word as an exaggeration. As a historian, now I know about legacy voting. We'll get into that a little bit later. I understand the tradition of the African American voting pattern. It goes all the way back to World War II. And it's in place. But you got eyes, right? You got a wallet, right? These people are never going to help you, ever. Zeldin Wood. And that's a memo. Biden didn't do anything today. He's given an address. I'm not even going to bother with it tonight. I'll analyze it tomorrow. As I said, Biden's neutered. He's going to sit there for 2 years, not going to do anything, not going to pass anything. Every executive order he signs is going to be challenged in federal court. So it's like, okay, 2 years. And he's not running again. His party doesn't want him to run again. His party would be more than happy if he resigned tomorrow. Did I miss anything? Stock market, of course. As soon as it wasn't a red wave, boop, down about 400 points. Unbelievable. One more thing. The strategy of calling politicians deniers worked. So from the very beginning, Democrats wanted Republicans to run who did deny the 2020 election. And they slapped the label deniers. That's why the guy in New Hampshire Bulldog got waxed. And there's a whole bunch of others. It worked. And independents, whatever. That election denial and January 6th is still a wound in the minds of many Americans. All right, and that's the memo. Just want to run down Oz lost because of Philadelphia, same thing. Blacks in Philadelphia turned down for Fetterman. I don't even think they know who Fetterman is. Oz never connected with the voters. He lost. Hassan beat Bolduc because of the denier thing. Ron Johnson squeaked it out in Wisconsin, but it was darn close. J.D. Vance romped in Ohio, where Trump is still popular. Colorado is now a solidly blue state. It is not coming back. Okay? Blue forever. Florida is solidly red forever. Washington State, solidly blue forever. Patty Murray, a terrible senator, beat her challenger handily out in Washington State. Listen to this. Convicted home title thief explaining what happens after he forges your home's title and takes over as the new owner.
Nobody thinks that I can take their house and borrow against the house. Oh, no, I have title insurance. It's in my name, or he would have to get some special document. They would call me. You know, nobody's calling you. After I've stolen the title, borrowed against it, or sold the property, it's 60 to 90 days for that person to even figure out that they're the victim of this crime. You start getting foreclosure notices. You've got 4 mortgages on your house. You don't even own your home anymore. It's not even in your name.
Home title fraud is growing 2.5 times faster than credit card fraud, if you can believe it. You could be a victim and not even know it. Here's how to protect yourself and verify your home's title is still in your name. Please visit HometitleLock.com, promo code RADIO. Then register your address for your no-obligation home title report, a $100 value free. Again, get your free home title report at HometitleLock.com, promo code RADIO. Let's bring in Doug Schoen. He's probably our go-to guy on all political matters. I've given you his resume before, one of the most impressive resumes in the country. Okay, the headline for you yesterday is, Doug?
Ron DeSantis was the big winner and shows that when you run on an affirmative message that addresses many of the issues, Bill, that you spoke of, both in the Talking Points memo and previously, you can win big victories. I think that is the big message I take away and the big message to the Republican Party.
But I understand Masters in Arizona did that. He said, look, we're all getting killed by Biden's policies and the migration and the inflation, all of that. But he got slaughtered.
I think a couple of things in Arizona. First, Masters didn't have and doesn't have the profile that DeSantis had as an effective governor. But second, I watched the Kelly ads. And Bill, one of the answers to your question is that Kelly ran as a non-Washington Democrat who was concerned about the border. That is, he understood.
But it's bull. Doug,
I understand, but he
it's
convinced
bull.
enough people to win the election with it.
Well, then those people are dumb.
They
Kelly's
may
done
be,
absolutely
but he
nothing.
understood he could not run as a mainstream Democrat.
Okay. You can run like, I can run as, Obi-Wan Kenobi. But if I'm in office, then you've got a record, and everything that Biden wanted, Kelly gave him. Period. That's it.
I'm just telling you why it happened.
Okay. Am I wrong about Hochul and Zeldin?
No, you're not wrong about that. I would tell you it is a state that is 53-27 Republican to Democrat. So the fact that Zeldin lost by 4 or 5 points is exactly what you said, a repudiation of Hochul, who's been kept in office only by straight ticket voting by African Americans almost exclusively. So you're right. Yeah.
Okay. And I think it's impossible to break through that voting block of African Americans in the urban centers, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Baltimore. It's impossible. No one
If
could do
not
it.
now, when, Bill? That is, I agree.
Right. It's a legacy vote. Their grandfathers voted this way. Their fathers voted this way. All their friends vote that way. I'm not disparaging African Americans at all. I'm trying to explain the block vote that knocked Zeldin out. 90% of New York counties go for the man, and one voting block in New York City knocks him out. So New York will never come back, ever.
And Bill, the real victims of crime, I mean, there are many victims of crime, of course, but the most focused and targeted are African Americans.
Sure, everybody knows that.
Neighborhoods.
That's where the drug gangs are. They're not in my neighborhood. They're in Bed-Stuy. They're in Harlem. They're in South Bronx. They run around. They're heavily armed. They extort people. They tell people what to do. They shoot up the neighborhoods. And Hochul goes, what was the big deal? And they vote for her.
Correct. Sadly.
I have to discipline myself because I get passionate about this because I know the city as well as any human being on earth, being a reporter, being born and bred here. And I'm almost at a point where I don't feel sorry for anybody. Okay, you voted for people who are not going to help you, so what do you expect? And New York City is going to get really worse in the next 2 years. You watch.
I don't see it getting better.
Okay, so now you're setting up a Trump versus DeSantis run. And Trump has lost power, no doubt he has. And DeSantis is gaining power, a lot of power, fast. Do you have any, and I know this is speculation, I don't usually like to do this, but do you have any thought about how, in the short term, that's going to come down? Trump will announce next Tuesday that he's running, and what's going to happen?
Here's what I would say. Trump can figure out exactly what you said. He's already started attacking DeSantis. He's started threatening DeSantis. He understands that he's got to take DeSantis out quickly, discourage him from running, intimidate him, or otherwise hurt his chances. If he can do that, Trump has a chance to capitalize on the 2-1 lead he has among Republicans. If he doesn't, and this becomes a long contest, my money would be on DeSantis.
But DeSantis is not going to fold under the Trump thing, number one. And number two, Trump is going to alienate MAGA people who like DeSantis.
I think both of those are true, but Trump only has one strategy, Bill. Go straight ahead and attack.
He's got other options, but he doesn't take them or hasn't yet.
Right.
Okay? There could be détente between him and DeSantis on the same ticket. Finally, when you came to the conclusion there was no red wave and it was going to be it's not a victory for the Democrats by any means, not. But there isn't a repudiation that I was hoping for on these terrible Biden policies. There is not a repudiation of them. Were you sad, angry, happy? Because you are a Democrat. What was your emotion?
My emotions were mixed because we are so polarized as a nation. People are responding more as partisans than as citizens. So my concern is that we have to get back to having a real dialogue, a debate, discussion, and people going back and forth rather than partisan lines hardening and people just voting, as you said before, legacy or tradition or ideology.
Now, what are the odds of that happening, Doug?
Not much, Bill. Not much at all.
All right, listen, I can't thank you enough for helping us throughout this
It's
whole
been
campaign.
my pleasure always, Bill.
Yeah,
Great
but I got the audience doesn't know how busy you are. You make time for us, and very, very nice. There's nothing in it for you, except that
Bill,
I'm going to take.
you're a longtime friend. You do a great show. If I can help you in a small way, all good for our country.
All right, just make sure you pick out the most expensive restaurant
will.
in New York City, and I'm going to take you there
Got it.
soon. All right, I'm going to go over some governor's races, then we'll get to our next guest, which is Scott Rasmussen, another genius on the political side. So Michigan, Whitmer beats Two-Door Dixon. I thought Two-Door Dixon would win. Well, Whitmer is again, a woman is not going to solve any problems whatsoever. And Dixon was a very, very articulate candidate. No. Now, we know about the unions in Michigan. We know about the deterioration of Michigan. Detroit is almost a cipher. Wisconsin, Evers wins a re-election. Arizona, Lake, it's possible Lake might overcome. She's not behind by much, but she should have won easily, Lake. Didn't. Nevada, Lombardo won, a Republican, fairly easily. Oregon, this Kotek, the Democrat, has beaten the Republican Drazen by, 3,000 votes, 4,000 votes, but that'll probably hold. So Oregon stays fanatically blue. Georgia, Kemp, easy. DeSantis, easy. Greg Abbott in Texas, easy. Colorado doesn't matter. It's a Democrat, but I used to live in Colorado. It's such a nice state, but it's gone, not coming back. Now tonight I'll be on News Nation about 8 o'clock, maybe 8:15, with Chris Cuomo discussing all this, and these Q&As are worth it to watch to see which arguments are stronger. So that's tonight, News Nation, O'Reilly, Cuomo. Inflation at its highest level in 40 years. Interest rates skyrocketing. We all know that. Market experts like Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan, not only predict a recession, but are using scary terms like economic hurricane and unprecedented. So you need to call the only precious metal dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. They will show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your portfolio with physical gold and silver. Please call them today, and they will have physical gold and silver delivered right to your door or put inside your IRA or 401k. They have thousands of satisfied customers, are the highest rated firm in the country with an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. Tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you up to $2,500 of free silver on your first order. Please call 866-501-5201, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Again, 866-501-5201, or text BILL to 65532. Okay, here's the final thought of the day. Every morning, I write a message of the day on BillO'Reilly.com. It's free. You don't have to be a premium member. You don't have to be a concierge member. You don't have to juggle. You don't have to answer a trick question. You just go to BillO'Reilly.com and boom, there it is. I'm going to read you my message of the day now in the final thought. Benjamin Franklin would be sad if he were around today. Divided nation, increasingly dependent population, disrespect for order and established law, apathy, rampant addiction to substance and devices, incredible self-centricity among the folks. Franklin understood freedom is eroded by all of those things. The USA had a chance to self-correct on Election Day, but declined. Florida and some other states did reject the madness, but places like Arizona and Virginia dug deeper into it. Yes, incredibly inept, Joe Biden is now checked by Congress, but just barely. The repudiation of him should have been epic, as the kids say. It wasn't. Millions of Americans voted for economic weakness, violent crime, immigration chaos, and woke terror. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez received more than 70% of the vote in her crime-ridden, dangerous district. There is no point in disparaging Americans who reject what has built this country into a colossus. They are entitled to believe what they want to believe. But it's sad, and Dr. Franklin, I'm sure, would attest to that. Sometimes democracy hurts. It's true. So all we can do is be loyal Americans. The vote was a vote. Wasn't dishonest. None of that surfaced. Democracy is not imperiled. Democracy was not on the ballot. Okay? Problem solving was on the ballot. And people in Pennsylvania said, we don't really want to solve problems. People in New York State, we don't want to solve them. Washington State, Michigan, nope. People in Texas said, we like to solve problems. Florida, North Carolina, like to solve them. So we're going to get people in there, give them a chance, because we know that the Democratic Party isn't going to solve any problems. And that brings me to the last point I want to make and the final thought. Things will get worse under Joe Biden. No matter what he says later on, the man can't run the country. They're going to get worse. I don't know how specifically. I'm not rooting for them to get worse. I don't want the economy to get worse. I don't want more inflation. That hurts you. It hurts me. I don't want it. But they will get worse. And then the people who voted for the Democratic Party are still not going to admit they're wrong. No matter how bad it gets, they're still not going to admit they're wrong. It's like Germany. How many people admitted they were wrong in 1938? You could see it. We just ran it this day in history. You could see it. It was wrong. Any decent human being had to know it was wrong. Did they repudiate the Nazi Party in 1938? They did not. I'm not drawing a parallel between Democrats and Nazis. I'm just saying the human nature is such that some people will never admit reality. Thank you for watching and listening to the No Spin News tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Hiring, of course, should be done on merit. Unfortunately, many large financial firms are using your money to force companies like Apple and Home Depot to adopt so-called racial equity audits. Strive Asset Management believes it makes companies like those less successful. But here's the good news. It is your money, not theirs. Strive just launched the Strive 500 on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol STRV. Strive uses their shareholder power to mandate America's largest public companies to focus on products and profits instead of politics and social justice. The bigger Strive gets, the more powerful their voice will be. Text BILL to 55022 to learn how you can buy the Strive 500, ticker STRV. That's BILL to 55022 to learn how you can buy Strive today.
Investors should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses carefully before investing. For a prospectus or summary prospectus with this and other information about the fund, please call 855-427-7360 or visit our website at www.strivefunds.com. Read the prospectus or summary prospectus carefully before investing. Investments involve risk. Principal loss is possible. The Strive ETFs are distributed by Quasar Distributors, LLC.